constant theme in every single trailer we've seen so far of Link jumping off cliffs. Is he trying to tell us something? Let me set the scene for you first. About a month ago, we had our annual February Nintendo Direct, and a pretty great one at that. We got our first look at Pikmin 4, the highly acclaimed Metroid Prime was coming back, the Mario Kart Booster Pack was looking better than ever, and Nintendo Online looked a little bit more worth it. Among some other good reveals, it felt like a good time to be a Nintendo fan. However, there was one game in particular that wasn't nearly as talked about as other titles I mentioned before, being Tears of the Kingdom, which is strange, right? The sequel to perhaps one of the greatest games of all time, and it doesn't feel like many people are paying as much attention to it as you would think. And with the game releasing in less than 2 months, I wanted to sit down and really think about why exactly is this game not as big as I thought it was going to be. And let me just say, the answer to that is so much more complicated than you would think. So this is the glass half full, and let me tell you why The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom might be in serious danger. Okay, let me clarify this right now so I don't have people in the comments telling me how idiotic I am, because don't worry, I'm already well aware of that. Yes, people are excited for Tears of the Kingdom. It's a Zelda game, for God's sake. There is no denying that people are hyped for this game no matter what. I mean, the most recent trailer alone has over 5 million views, so what exactly is my point? And well, I'm just not seeing the same amount of hype to other Switch games that came out, or even compared to its prequel. It just feels so much more tame and uneventful as to what I thought it was going to be. Like when Breath of the Wild was nearing its release date, people were more like, let's go! I just want to thank every god out there for this glorious opportunity to play this new Zelda game, new Zelda game, new Zelda. And now when this one is about to come out, people are just like, oh, cool, looks fun, can't wait to play that. Like, what? Yeah, you can feel like that for a bunch of other video games coming out, but a Zelda game? That's like a federal crime in California. You've been found guilty by court of law for not being excited. God damn it! Well, I guess it's important to mention that this is a sequel by all accounts, so automatically it should already be less hyped, which I guess makes a decent amount of sense. Like, yeah, we have already seen this before. Yes, it is awesome and very cool, but the fact that it hasn't been that long since the first one takes a little bit of that wow factor out of this whole game. But then it's like, can't you say that for like every other sequel then? Were people not excited for Smash Ultimate because that was a sequel? I mean, the sales numbers say otherwise. Oh, but Smash 4 was on a completely different console, so I can't make that claim. So how about Splatoon 3? That's a game that had a prequel that was also on the Switch, and that game is probably on track to outsell Splatoon 2 pretty soon. And guess what? Both of those games came out in the same year. So why exactly did Splatoon 3 have so much more of a riding than Tears of the Kingdom? Well, maybe not enough time has passed, right? I mean, it hasn't even been that long since Breath of the Wild came out anyway. It's only been more than half a decade. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is time? But let's go back to that real quick. 2017, which is quite a long time for a sequel of a game to come out. For example, the last mainline Zelda game before Breath of the Wild was Skyward Sword, and that dates all the way back to November 2011. That means it took Aonuma and his team less time to build one of the most ambitious open world games that completely changes the Zelda formula in every way possible, and it takes more time to do that whole process again. And while we're here, I just want to bring up that absurdly long time between Breath of the Wild's announcement and release. From June 10th, 2014 all the way to March 3rd, 2017 is just shy of 1,000 days. So I guess Breath of the Wild just has so much time and leverage compared to Tears of the Kingdom because it's almost unheard of waiting that long for a video game to come out. Now how about we wait 1,461 days for this game to come out? Yeah, I'm not shitting you at all. Like, damn, I was 15 when I first saw that trailer, and now I'm probably a lot more depressed than I was back then, so that was a long ass time. So although Tears of the Kingdom is only a sequel, I feel like the fact that not only has the wait time been much longer than Breath of the Wild, its notoriety compared to other sequels, and You know, the very fact that it's a mainline Zelda game should warrant more than enough hype for people to be more excited than they are now, but that is simply not the case. And I can't really help but feel like this is mostly Nintendo's fault. So what did the Big N do wrong this time? I mean, on paper, it doesn't really feel like much. Every time this game has been showcased, it was to end off Nintendo Directs, which are usually reserved for the biggest announcements. But having said that, the game comes out in less than 2 months, and I really feel like we haven't seen anything yet. Is that a super controversial thing to say? I mean, with several trailers, we would have to know what kind of game we're getting, but to me, it really feels like we don't. For the past 4 years, we got a total of like 3 or so trailers, and honestly, those trailers barely give us anything to work with. Like, there's a video on YouTube that shows all of them, and it's only 8 minutes long. What the fuck are we supposed to gather from 8 minutes? Like, think about it from my perspective. I have to make a 10 or so minute video on this game now, and I barely have any footage to use. Like, how does this happen? Now, something I neglected to say at the start was that I wanted to make this video a lot sooner, like closer to the start of 2023. I thought the topic would have been interesting and could have been justifiable seeing how the game was supposed to release in early 2023. But I stopped myself. It was tempting, but I thought to myself, hey, you know what? We're gonna have that typical February Direct pretty damn soon, and I don't want this video to feel outdated immediately. So I will, at the very least, wait till after that Direct to see if this topic has any more merit to it or not. And leading up to it, I genuinely believed that there was going to be a massive blowout of info on this game. Like, we'd have a big trailer to watch and then have an overview for 8 minutes discussing new additions and changes they made from the previous installments. But instead, all we got was now for $70. What? Is that it? Like, I don't want to say it looked disappointing, but for something that comes out in less than 2 months, it just looked a lot more like Breath of the Wild 1.25. But now you can build cars! Like, why couldn't we receive any confirmation on how the game would be structured? If it would be shrine-based or dungeon-based again? And no characters at the very least? Like, come on! We literally only know that Link, Zelda, and Ganon is gonna be in this game 100% and no one else. And I think that's where my main point of concern lies with this game as of right now, and why exactly it isn't as highly anticipated as I thought it was going to be, because of a lack of information. Maybe it's just me and I'm not a true fan or whatever, but I like the series a whole lot. I even have this Breath of the Wild poster on my wall, and I think it looks pretty cool. Do you think it looks pretty cool? Please tell me you do. I need validation. But over the past 4 years, we've been given not a lot of information on what this game could be like. Like, at least with Breath of the Wild, we had a demo to work with. And again, $70? Well, actually $90 here in Canada, but for the sake of you Americans, I'll keep saying 70. And you would think as we get closer to May 12th, we would start getting a lot more teasers and ads, but that's far from the case. No, Nintendo, give me more Mario movie TV spots, because apparently we don't have enough of those. It just feels so odd that the supposed biggest release of the year has felt overshadowed by Pikmin 4. Okay, maybe that was a bit too far, but I guess Nintendo can't handle all the blame. A part of me still thinks that this game was supposed to release much earlier in 2021 to coincide with Zelda's 35th anniversary, but since that game was unfortunately being developed right when the world was struck by the pandemic, it unfortunately had to be pushed back all the way up till now. Which just makes me question, how exactly will the release of this game be handled now? With less than 50 days to go and most likely no Nintendo Direct in between then and now, it leaves this game in a very strange spot where people like myself are excited for it, but we are just left in the dark as to what exactly this game is and what exactly we should expect from it. And I have no concrete solution, but I do have some ideas. Well, how exactly should Nintendo fix this whole situation? Well, the first and biggest idea that comes to mind is that we have a dedicated Tears of the Kingdom Direct. Earlier, I mentioned how Splatoon 3 is also a game that had a prequel on the same system, but still managed to gain a lot of traction in the fanbase. And while that still remains true, it wasn't always like that. In fact, I would say that the game had the exact same issue as Tears of the Kingdom, with looking too similar to its predecessor, and trailers up to that point didn't help justify an immediate purchase all too much. It was all like this until that Splatoon 3 Direct took place a month before the game came out, which was the big information dump we were all waiting for. And recently, I've started to believe that the same thing could happen to this game as well. Perhaps not a huge half-hour direct, since Splatoon 3 had the advantage of being an online game, so it naturally had more stuff to show, so maybe sometime in mid to late April, you would have a 10 to 20 minute video showcasing the story, new characters and environments, and would elaborate on the building mechanics we saw in the trailer and what exactly it would be used for. And you know, confirmation that our weapons don't break every 2 fucking seconds would be pretty good for me. And it would end off with a huge trailer akin to that last Breath of the Wild trailer we got before that game was released. Just a good amount of gameplay that doesn't spoil too much, but at least we would know a little bit before the game comes out. The other idea I kind of had was do something similar to what Sakurai did with Smash Ultimate and Smash 4 of posting a picture every day of the game. Sure, it's not the most exciting idea I have, but it will keep us occupied until the game comes out. And the other ones are not really ideas, but like things that are gonna happen eventually. I just wish that happened sooner. Like a complete overview of what we're gonna get, or just more trailers. Again, these things are probably gonna happen, but I thought I should just mention them anyways. But see, the thing is, even if all these things don't happen, the game will sell well regardless. I just don't like the way Nintendo's been pushing this title at all, because I am constantly forgetting that this game is releasing in May. Like, what a weird time to release such a big game. This kind of game would usually be Nintendo's big holiday title, but no, huge amazing Zelda game in less than 2 months, but because of the publicity and marketing, I and many others are just kind of neutral about it. And I guess the price tag has something to do with it as well. There was a recent interview with Doug Bowser where he defended the price increase for this game, specifically stating there's more than enough content in the game to justify the price, which is fine, I bet there is. But can we see that said content you speak of? It just feels so unusual for Nintendo to stay this hidden about this game. I mean, officially that is. I know the guidebook already got leaked, but that's beside the point. Maybe Nintendo is waiting for all the Mario movie hype to settle down to really start advertising this game. Shit, that's probably exactly what they're gonna do. Why have I only thought about this now? But at that point, I can't help but feel like it'll be a little too late and would have loved information more spread out than all at once. So originally, I wanted to end off the video with a skit of me holding the Master Sword and swinging it around, but then I found out how much it cost, so instead, I printed it out. See guys, looks just like the real thing. Seriously guys, I am really broke right now.